TikTok. You're back again. Let me get the stream going. I will be right back, and we're about to get started. Just give me a sec. Wait a sec. All right. Welcome in, everyone. It's going to be an interesting one today. I can say that, as always. I'm going to fill up my water, and we're going to get started. So, once again, we got our glass bottle Mountain Valley water. So, guys, there should be I just added a donation tab finally. We can actually make money off this. So, it should be here. So, love the support. If you want to check it out, I'm going to fix our lighting real quick. There we go. All right. Well, here we are. We're back. Give me a second here. Let me actually had to close the studio door here. I'm back. All right. But, yeah. Today is going to be, what's the word? I'm trying to get my lighting straight one last time still. Is this better, guys? I think that's better. So if you're on TikTok, welcome you guys over here. If you're on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, welcome in as well. I can't see who's on Instagram right now. It's just kind of blind to me, but today we're getting a little bit deeper. Yesterday was a big live stream, a huge one. We actually got flagged, so that's a good thing. So our live stream got targeted by the system, meaning we're clearly saying something to upset somebody where they felt like they had to try and silence me a little bit. So I must be getting to somebody's nerves at this point. So I'm going to keep striking respectfully and hopefully not shake the trees too much, but we should be able to get a little bit of activity started today. Welcome to today's live stream. I'm going to speak to TikTok, you guys secondary. I'm mainly speaking to my camera here. Obviously, the link's in my bio if you want to go to the community and see the actual live stream. It's on Rumble. You guys can see that stuff in the community. But today we're going to be talking about the hidden education secrets to real success. Every student learns math. They learn history, they learn science, but one critical lesson never appears in class. In fact, education experts warn that schools often teach conformity over creativity. John Taylor Gatto, a former teacher, argued that the real hidden curriculum of school is to produce obedient workers, not independent thinkers. After 17 years in classrooms, I still hadn't learned how to win in the real world. And honestly, I still don't know, guys. I'm still learning, but I'd say I'm ahead of the curve. Today's presentation will expose a system of secret agenda, showing you what schools simply won't teach about success and how to actually break free. You've always known there's some friction, right, behind the scenes, but today we're going to expose exactly what that is, and more importantly, how you guys can leverage that. And just turn Do Not Disturb on. Once again, I'm Caleb Schulke. This is the Ascended Podcast, and I appreciate all of you for being here today. Let's begin. The system's hidden agenda. First, conformity over creativity. Let's talk about that point. Researchers find that schools prioritize obedience and test scores over critical thinking. Students are, quote, fed bits and pieces of information that don't connect, end quote, leaving them confused about their real purpose in the world. That comes from rev.org. They're sorted by age or the ability into rigid groups. You guys know, right? Like, even if you're smarter than your classmates, or the ones that seem like they're ahead of others, are still put in the same group by age. School is set up in a system where you are taught to you stay in your bounds, right? You get the homework done on time, you don't overachieve, and even overachievement is limited to a certain extent. You can't really push yourself to new levels, or you're simply just going to kind of reach the upper limits of what, as far as you can push things, right? You can never really truly excel in school, and everyone kind of stayed within the group. They're sorted by age, and they're shuffled through subjects really before mastering any particular bits of knowledge, right? Which breeds indifference. All of this conditions us to expect confusion, not to answer, to question, or to innovate. Next is grades over growth. The hidden message is to memorize, right? How many tests are based on rote memorization? When you guys were going through school, it was always recite this history exam back to me, show me the answer, show me that you are competent of understanding the information. Most of the tests we take in school are simply just that. It's regurgitating information and showing that you have the facts straight. But rarely is it ever critically thinking outside the box. That's where school tends to part ways with the traditional ways we learn on our own. We learn to depend on teachers for answers, which is emotional dependency, right? How does that translate into adulthood, right? You become dependent on a boss. You become dependent on an employer. You can't seek the answers for yourself because you're used to somebody having given you the answers. You want to bring it up with your authority figure, right? Your boss, and rarely can you think outside the system. That's not necessarily just a side effect, guys. They tie our self-worth to grades, provisional self-esteem, right? Constant testing and surveillance teach us how to conform. Sit in your rows, answer questions, raise your hands. In short, schools train students to be good workers who follow rules. Gatto bluntly notes that schools are not designed to educate. Rather, they exist to produce a standardized workforce that serves industrial and bureaucratic systems. Am I saying anything that's wrong here? Am I saying anything that doesn't sound logical? Can you guys give me a like, or can you comment or something to let me know? Let's talk about here's the meme-aware takeaway I want you guys to understand. In other words, school teaches you how to obey, not how to win. It's the ultimate training montage, right? For the factory floor. It's the Rocky cutscene, but you're not training for the ultimate fight. You're not training for the main character moment. You're training for the factory. You yearn for the mines, right? Like the coal mines, right? Back in the day, you're not yearning for something outside the system. And that's kind of right. That's kind of how we preferenced it always, because most people simply aren't going to be excellent. If I have to be completely honest, most of you are going to be lame. 70% of us are not really going to achieve anything spectacular that most people would deem spectacular in life. We're just going to, even if our life is spectacular compared to the way it was 200 years ago, the thought of all of us living the most spectacular life ever, and we need a bell curve, right? So for a life to be spectacular, for you to do amazing things, by definition, it needs to be better than what everyone else is doing. So saying that everyone can win, everyone can have the same victory in life, is almost a little bit ignorant to the fact that you have to compare that excellent life versus a standard. And so the only standard of comparison is essentially just, right? This is basic success, which is the normal 9 to 5. Sorry, guys. I think my mic on the other streaming platform here was still connected to my webcam. So sorry if the audio quality was bad there. But the hidden message is to memorize, but to never think. And I want you guys to understand that. School teaches you how to obey, but never how to win. If you feel bored, if you're lost, or you feel like school, right, especially the college path that we feel so pressured nowadays to stick to, if it felt like it never taught you why you were learning anything and just what to be learning, then now you guys know why. Now you know why. Let's talk about the real world. The real world isn't a multiple choice test. How many times are you given standardized ACT, SAT score tests that were just simply select the best or most appropriate answer?
Now, that is actually a good thing, right? But most of reality is fill in the blank. You don't always know what the options are. You have to go find your own options. You have to think critically. And with a world of multiple choice style, problems that we think is the reality, when we're thrown out, real success happens when we have to fill in the blanks, when we have to do our own research, when we have to cite our own sources. But that becomes less and less preference, and it's easier to just pass or fail than it is to think at a higher level. That's exactly why school fails to prepare us and most people for actual success. Consider these wake-up calls. Outdated skills. By 2030, nearly 40% of the skills that workers use today, that you guys will tomorrow when you go to work or when you go to your job, whatever it is, school, by 2030, nearly 40% of the skills you're using right now will become obsolete. Think about that. In other words, almost half of what you learn today isn't going to matter in 5 years. Yet school still teaches 20th century subjects, aka stuff from the 1900s, in the 21st century economy. What are we doing? Let's talk about the workforce mismatch. Traditional education focuses on general knowledge, while employers now prize analytical thinking. I'm seeing, guys, I've done the research on Indeed, I've looked on job sites, just out of curiosity, and I've seen that employers are now less preferencing your master's degree or the qualifications, right? The piece of paper from the school doesn't mean as much. They care more about your experience, right? How many times do you feel stuck in that trap where it's like, we require 12 years of experience for an entry-level job? Like, how the hell does that make sense? How are you supposed to have experience when I've never even worked at this type of career before? It's like a broken system, right? Employers are prizing that. Like, they want people to migrate between career fields with experience leading the way, not just your degree, because degrees mean less and less in a world where it's become the standard now to go to college instead of a prize or a kind of achievement, right? The World Economic Forum, right, and they're, believe what you want from them, but finds that 7 in 10 companies say that analytical thinking is critical. I think that's a good fact, at least, regardless of what you think. 7 in 10 companies think analytical thinking is absolutely critical. But school never taught us how to analyze real problems. Think about it. You learned how to go to the library, you learned how to Google search, write a paper, right? But you never thought about why you were doing it. You never had to ask the question of why this essay mattered, what this essay is actually teaching you. You were just told to regurgitate information like a fucking computer, right? Like ChatGPT before it existed. It taught us how to memorize answers. Why is that useful? Well, when you're working a traditional job, you have to memorize training instructions, how to do your rote tasks, and how to do that over and over. So they want to make sure that if a boss tells you what to do, you can take those instructions and perfectly print them or translate them into the work you're doing. It has nothing to do with your ability to creatively think. Do you guys understand this? The COVID pandemic showed how fragile that jobs are. Over 40 million Americans lost their job in 2020. 40 million. That's over 10% of our population. Many of those positions will never return the same way. Companies just phase them out, and now they're just using AI, or they just became more efficient, right? Many of those positions and the income tied to it will never come back. Well, everything changed overnight. Schools had no plan for it because they never teach adaptability. Schools teach conformity, which is different. You learn how to follow the orders, follow the system's instructions, not how to adapt when things break. So when you're only taught to follow the rules of the system and never how to adapt when the system changes, then the second the system is changing, which nowadays it seems like everything is changing, that leaves a lot of people effed in the A, as you might say. We haven't even gotten to like the main problem yet, guys, with this, which is AI. I'm trying to move my light source a little bit here so you guys can see me a little bit better. But AI, okay. Well, AI is an issue too. Tech giants are already cutting jobs. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says that generative AI will mean, quote, fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today. End quote. Reuters is the source. Microsoft and Google have laid off thousands as AI takes over coding and routine tasks. Also Reuters. Simply put, old school jobs are disappearing. We were never told this in class, but it's the truth. If you keep relying on what school taught you, if you think going to college is the right way, I'm sorry, then you're drinking the Kool-Aid, guys. You're going to be left behind while the world opens up. And sure, obviously, you want to continue advanced education. I continued advanced education. You have to continue advanced education. But simply thinking you're going to learn every success tip from just college, in my mind, is ignorant. You're not going to have the full range of information because you're only getting what they want you to know. Not what you should know, not what's going to set you up for the best life, but what's going to teach you the best skills to work for the best company and have the best impact on just a company. Not for yourself, not when you're starting a business, not when you're going through the trenches. They're not going to show you how entrepreneurship really works. The entrepreneurship class that they're going to feed you in college is really just how to set up an LLC, not how to prepare yourself for stressful nights when systems fail, when bills come due. That's not what they're going to teach you. And you're going to think you're going to learn it all because you're going to fucking Arizona State online, but you're not. I'm sorry. That's just ignorant. And there's a high price of ignorance. What happens if you never break out of the school mold? That's the question I want to ask. The stakes are huge. Schools rarely teach money skills. Surveys show, in fact, that the average American can only answer 50% of basic finance questions. Sometimes I got to just sit here and think about how scary this information is. Surveys show that the average American, so probably just someone like you or me, I think I'm pretty average in a lot of ways, can only answer 50% of basic finance questions. In fact, one index found that US adults got half of everyday money questions right. Such as this is stuff like, what does a savings account do? What is a checking account? What is a debit card? How does credit work? The gap isn't innocent. People who can't manage money tend to drown in debt and emergency bills. Unsurprisingly, students graduate clueless about savings, investing, or even a simple budget, while someone else profits from their ignorance. Guys, how many times do you see the girl math, right? The girl math, I'm going to just, I got money, I got handed paper cash. I'm going to treat that like a free gift card or a coupon for Target or whatever it is. How many times do these memes about being financially ignorant just spread like wildfire? Do you think that's on purpose? Or do you think that's an accident? Let's ask. Do you think that really is an accident? Do you think there's not benefit to people that are making high amounts of interest off other people not knowing what interest is? I don't know. Generational debt. Without financial literacy, huge numbers of young people are hopeless. Over half of millennials worry about paying back their loans, which comes from financialeducatorscouncil.org. So over half of millennials worry about paying back their loans. Teachers themselves now admit that they skipped learning money skills in college. Teachers, your teachers admit they didn't learn about money skills in college. So the fact that you're trying to educate yourself only in school is ignorant. You are ignorant if you're doing that. This isn't my opinion. I just told you, teachers, the ones that are teaching you, they've admitted they don't understand money skills. And they didn't try to learn it in college. And they're the ones you think you're going to get your information from. That's going to set you free. Do you understand the logic here going on? Do you understand this? Meanwhile, the richest 1% now own half. The richest 1% own half of the US stocks. 1% of people own half of our stocks and the mutual funds. And you guys think you can day trade your way into freedom, that market manipulation is fake, that people aren't just, if you own half the stocks, it's pretty easy to fake people out, to set the price where you want, to control the markets. It's no one's listening to, and it's just guys, I'm literally telling you what's going on. And it's like it's kind of like, right, the sky is falling, Chicken Little. Like, I'm telling you this information, and too many of you are just skipping this live stream. You're not listening to it. And it's like, well, whose fault is it, right? If the devil gives you an apple and he tells you that it's poisoned and you still decide to eat it, if you have the knowledge that ignorance, right, of this is going to hurt you, and you still decide to bypass on the opportunity of learning and actually making critical decisions, well, whose fault is it when you die from being poisoned? Whose fault? Most of you probably aren't even thinking about the question I just asked you. They're like, what do you mean poison apple? Like, that's what scares me, guys. That's what scares me. Yet schools don't teach us how to play the game. In fact, what's the point, honestly, of like, if 1% of people, so out of 100 people, like let's imagine you in a room with 100 people. If one person walks into that room and they control the majority of the decisions of that room, then what do the other 99 people do? Do they just say, oh, this one guy over here in the corner, he's got all the playing cards. Like, let's just pretend he doesn't exist. Let's pretend that we can still win. Let's pretend that let's hate each other. Let's hate us. Let's all go back to our day-to-day lives. This one person's just going to win over and over. Let's keep playing the game, guys. We got it. One more roll of the dice. One more year in the job. One more year in the stock market. We got this. We can make a comeback. That one guy's going to keep manipulating everything. Let's just go right back to what we were doing. Don't worry about it. When you lack basic money skills, you become prey for credit traps, lifetime debt, and economic stress. Why do you think people set up these foldable tables, the H-leg tables, right, at college universities, on the main campus strip when you're walking to class, and say, hey, you got to buy your textbooks, right? Well, here's a credit card. Interest? Nah, don't worry about that, right? Interest, that's just like that's just a part of the terms, right? Don't worry about the interest. It's like 80% or something. It's probably like 30 something, which is still a gross amount of interest. Just take it. Just put your name down, and you know what? We'll give you a free backpack. You got a lot of books to carry to class. Why don't you just put your name down for this credit card, and we'll give you this backpack, and you'll be good to go, right? Just put all your books expenses, put all your coffee, right? You like the Starbucks, you want your chai latte, right? Your girl boss drink, right? Throw that on the credit card. What's it gonna hurt? When you lack basic money skills, you become prey for credit traps, lifetime debt, and patterns of behavior leading to lifetime debt and economic stress. No wonder everyone is on edge. No wonder we're anxious. It's because we don't understand money, and therefore the lack of our understanding is causing us to blame politics and blame systems, when in reality, we just don't know what the fuck's going on. And you're blaming your neighbor, right? I wouldn't even say I go to church every weekend, like that type of religious, or that I'm like a diehard like Christian necessarily. But I do know that there's a commandment, right, that pretty much says, or like, let's just say the golden rule, right, that says treat others the way you would want to be treated. Let's just stick with a golden rule here. Why would you hate other people because you don't understand what's actually going on? That doesn't really seem like we're doing the right thing here, guys. It seems like we're taking out aggression at the system on each other. I don't have to be a genius to figure that out. The knowledge that is withheld from you is where the true opportunity lies. Every day, people with personal brands like me, you see my face out here, I'm talking to you guys, I'm putting myself out here. People with online businesses, you see the link in my bio, I have a community, I make money off that. I'm not hiding that, I'm not a sleazy guru, right, trying to like scam you guys. I'm not driving a Lamborghini on the screen here, I'm actually teaching real skills, but I have a business and I rely on my presence online to make money. That's for a very good reason, because online businesses can capture income streams that mainstream jobs can't offer. And not only that, but when you have this in concurrence to your main job, which obviously you guys know what I do for my main job, when you run these in concurrence, then it provides a safety net. It gives you the freedom to speak more comfortably. It gives you the freedom to set yourself up for opportunities. So when that mainstream job gets more and more restrictive and it tightens that leash around your neck, you have other options. You can stick up for yourself and you don't become controlled because you also make money and you don't become reliant on somebody, right? That might be a problem now. It's probably a problem with politics and things like that, right? Just just people being influenced. That's never productive. That's never money giving you opportunity. Dependence always limits our freedom. And we don't want to become dependent. We don't want to become dependent on just a job, right? One job can change in an instant that can safe. Especially people setting up mortgages and things like that right now. A mortgage, right? Mort, death, gauge, pact, death pact. You're making a death pact for your house. In short, by not being informed means risking your future. It's simply put, that's what it is. You'll be overworked, debt-ridden, and constantly playing catch up to a world that has already moved the fuck on without you. Buy this water, guy. Mountain Valley water. These bottles, I love this. By the way, I'm trying to change pace here because I get too like aggressive on these podcasts. But check that out, Mountain Valley. You guys see it right here. These are at Sam's Club, and I feel so good drinking water that doesn't have like microplastics in. This is so good for you. My testosterone levels are probably like that of a 75-year-old man, and then the average person's is probably that of like a 90-year-old man compared to like our grandfathers, right? I think our grandfathers had like triple the testosterone of us right now. And you're wondering why like men are losing their energy, right? Their ability to be dominant anymore, or to make bold decisions, or to work out, or to take care of themselves, to look healthy, why man boobs are becoming a thing. Well, that's exactly why, because testosterone is being killed by all these astringents and microplastics that you're consuming. So you need to consume proper foods. You need to look at the packaging the food comes in. Why is your steak wrapped in microplastics, as in stretch? Like when plastic can stretch to cover your meat, aka the meat that's raw exposed, right? The reason we have skin and tissue is to cover up our meat so things don't get into our muscles and drastically affect our organs and our tissues in our body. And when you have raw steak that you're going to cook and it's wrapped in microplastic, well, the skin's removed from that steak. So the steak's going to absorb very much so all the plastic particles from that piece of stretched plastic that you're covering it with in the grocery store. Everything is contaminated. And so it's not a game of like avoiding it. I think that's almost ignorant because you can't avoid microplastics and all this shit like that. You just have to minimize them. Like the important stuff, right? Your water, don't drink them, right? If you can control, a plastic water bottle is like a 250,000 microplastic particles. It's insane. And like your shampoo, right? Things like that directly go into your skin. Just make sure you're being conscious of that stuff. Sorry, just a tangent, but really passionate about that because I want you guys to preserve your manhood, right? It's like you're being neutered by something you never controlled. But let's talk about the path of freedom, the 4 phases of escape velocity. If you're on TikTok, you guys right there, please like the stream. That would go a long way for me. If you're on anything else, obviously, just drop a like, subscribe, helps me grow on this platform. And I'm spending my time here on a Sunday when I could be sitting in the sun. I could be taking a nice walk by the pool out there at my apartment here. And I'm doing this for you guys. So just show me that you love me. And I'm showing you guys I care about you by doing this. And hopefully we can just work together. We don't have to be so hostile with each other, right? We're trying to all improve each other. And I hope that you guys can feel that. I'm saying this information to you. I'm conveying these things because I do give a shit. I want our world to be better. I actually care about humankind. I don't want AI and AI, right? Or AGI, sorry, or ASI, artificial intelligence, to come and kill us all. I want us to exist, and I want us to live the best lives we can. I miss the old days, right? Things are changing so fast that it's like, why can't things just be like it was in 2010, right? Why does it got to change so rapidly and throw off the course of everything? I wish we could just go back to the peace we had. But I digress. There is a way out of the trap. And I'm just going to make that known. There is a way, because obviously you wouldn't see the 19-year-olds driving rental cars claiming that they're their Lamborghinis and stuff. But there's actually real ways. The people that drive the fake cars, the gurus, right? They're really just the people that are valid, right? The people that have aura, the people that actually live at the high echelon. They don't drive the Lamborghinis because they never needed to, because they knew what their value was. And flaunting value means that you have to prove that you're valuable. And therefore, you never really were valuable to begin with. It's all an illusion. And the reason you're trying to prove that you're valuable with a Lamborghini is because you want more people to think you're valuable, so that way they'll participate and buy your offer. So hopefully someday you'll be valuable. right? They're trying to like hack the system. They're showing their Lamborghini and the car because they want people to think that you have something going on. So that way they'll buy your offer. So that way you can one day actually be valuable. The people that already have value never needed the cars. They drive them and they buy them because they're fun, but they never show up on social media. They'll just pull up to the coffee house in their Porsche and you'll wonder what the hell they do. Those are the actual powerful rich people. The people that leave 50% tips just because they can, not the people wearing Gucci shirts trying to talk the waitress into a discounted coffee, right? I have a military discount, but I don't even use it a lot of times just because why would I need to? I give a shit about, paying full price so I can help the restaurant out. Even though I've done service, guys, even though I've been in the military, like I still want to give back to society and help people function too, because they got bills to pay. I'm sure I served, but we all should be serving. We all should be doing something productive to society. And so, yeah, it's real wealth is silent, but it moves with power. I'll tell you guys that. And there's a way out of the trap. It's not what you guys think. It's not those like flex videos. It's not what schools teach either. You need a raw education designed for independence. It needs to be specifically tailored by somebody who's done it. I haven't done it, guys. I'm going to be 100% honest. I am not in Dubai right now. I'd like to be. I have a vision to get there. I haven't achieved that. I'm going to be completely honest about that because why would I hide it from you guys? I'm clearly not on the palm right now. I'm still like partially involved in the system and I don't want to be either. But I'm probably 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. And why would you not want the person that's one rock ahead of you on the mountain reaching their hand out to you compared to the guy at the top trying to throw down a rope not knowing where you are? Why would you want the guy that achieved success before any of this bullshit happened trying to lead you? They don't have accurate information. I do. And that's what the digital syndicate is about. It's not positioned as like I've been there, done that. I'm just a step or 2 ahead of you and I want to help you guys catch up. And that is the best information, most accurate information you'll find. We break this down into 4 phases. This is how it operates. Tell me if you guys think this is a bad system. First thing I did when I designed this program is I said, what are the necessary steps to get anybody, right, that wants to have an online presence like I do? It could be showing your face like this, or it could just be using my face to make money, right? You see all this stuff about like content clipping, doing social media channels, marketing a business, right? You could be hiding behind a brand logo. You never need to even show your face and make money. But how do you do that? How do these people start businesses like this? So the first phase of any business, whether or not you're using your face or you're just doing it, is clarity and identity. And that's what we start with. We have to find what's called the North Star. You have to ask yourself, you have to think critically, right, before any of this, because school doesn't teach you how to do that. So I show you guys, how do we break the 4th wall and ask, who am I inherently? What do I really, really want in my life? I don't want a Lamborghini. You guys think you want the nice cars. You think you want the money and the clothes. But what you really want is control. You want the ability to go out and buy a Lamborghini. But that doesn't mean you necessarily want the car. Oh, that's cool, bro, is great, but it lasts 5 seconds. You really want the ability to be free, to have the ability to go say, fuck it, I'll buy a Lamborghini today. Fuck it, I'll go rent a yacht because I can. That control and that power and influence is what you're going after. So let's not lie about that fact, because a car is only as good as, right, the moment that people recognize it. If it's fast, it's fun, yeah, but the second you get out of it, there goes the value of the car, because now I'm back in my house, nobody can see the car. It's not really about the car, right? It's about the power and the influence that can go do and obtain something like that. So you have to ask, who is the person, the version of you that retains power, that sets an identity out into the world that is interpreted in a way where people see you as that being? The guy that has his shit together, the guy that has the Lamborghini, or could if he wants, that gets the girl he wants, that lives the life that other people want to live. Society forces us into roles, right? Doctors, engineers, lawyers, architects, etc., without asking if those fit you. Right? It's kind of like spinning a die, right? You get matched in these programs in high school, right? You talk to the guidance counselor. What job am I best fitted for? Not what is the role that I want to do. It's not forging an identity of my own or a position or value that I choose to put into the world. It's which box do I fit in the best? So in this phase, in the first phase of the syndicate, you guys define your unique goals and values. You figure out, What is the aura, right? What's the vibe I want to put out into the world? How do I want to position myself? What is my niche? In this case, guys, my niche is like AI. It's helping people like you wake up to the actual reality of the world and then leverage tools and systems that actually teach you how to make it rich without slaving other people away, with building ethical systems using AI to make a shit ton of money and do it so fast because of where technology's at now that it will blow your mind. That's my role. And I've defined that. You guys can see that I'm reinforcing that every day. So you have to define it first before we can move to phase two. This is absolutely crucial because without clarity of who you are, then you chase random success metrics like Lamborghinis, right? That aren't yours. If Lamborghini didn't exist and I based my whole reality about getting this Aventador, then when it disappears, what is my existence? Is it a Porsche now? Is it a McLaren? Because that feels off, right? Because I based my identity on something that I can't control. So second, once we figure out what we're about and who we stand, what our purpose is in this world, trust me, it's easier to figure out than you guys think. You just need to be led the proper way. And that's what phase one does. Phase two is building a brand entity. You have to turn your identity that you built and your passion into a brand. Now, a brand is different from the person as a whole. This means creating a separate public persona online or in your niche. You guys can see I use my full name here. A lot of people cover up their name because they want to kind of hide their identity, right? Like Alex Hormozi's real name isn't Alex Hormozi, by the way. Look it up. It's a shortened version of his name. It's more marketable, but he's kind of trying to hide his identity because he wants to differentiate himself from the legal self. That attracts others. Right? So how do you identify this version of yourself into the world? And a lot of times you're going to play like, it's like you're acting on stage, right? For a while I was acting because I wasn't actually this person you're seeing on the podcast. I was more reserved. I didn't feel confident in myself. Caleb Schulke, the person I wanted to be, was initially called Caleb Thomas. It was just a role. It was my first and middle name. And it was a role I was filling because it was this alter ego of mine that could be confident. And eventually it just went back to being my first and last name because I actually turned into that person eventually. We need to attract other people with who we are. So once you define the aura, right, we're putting out into the world of changing lives, of waking men up to the reality of the systems and how to hack the systems to see success, I have to broadcast that with a brand. Now the brand uses content. It uses storytelling. It's what I'm doing right here. It's the Ascend brand. You've seen the logo for Ascend. It's the Ascended podcast. You guys can see in my bio, it's the whole aura of our community. And you categorize that to magnetize people into your ideas. I'm doing this right now, guys. You're being influenced by the words. Like, I'm not lying about the fact that I'm selling something to you guys right now. I'm telling you guys what I'm doing, and I'm using the branding. I'm using the colors, the lighting of my podcast, everything to show you guys how impactful my brand is and attract you to the ideas by podcasting every day. The world now, people in the world are paying attention to personalities and brand stories, not just faceless corporations. You've noticed now on TikTok, right? There's these like niche brands like Nutter Butter or Sour Patch Kids or like Scrub Daddy, right? That are like product brands, but they're categorizing themselves and they're typing in chats like they're real people. They have social media managers pretending to be actual individuals. And so LinkedIn and Harvard research suggests that a strong personal brand and network can accelerate growth beyond traditional paths. Not only that, but they open up opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise. Somebody sees me as a thought leader in AI. They're going to say, hey, I have an AI startup. Do you want to put money into this? Do you want to work with me to advertise this? And I'll give you stake in this company. This idea only existed because I have the ability to speak to tons of you at one time. I've built up a presence, and that can be worth money through YouTube ads, through live stream donations, through whatever it is. And we guide you step by step on how to create a digital presence. So we take your idea of who you want to be, and we set up social media, we set up logos, marketing, colors, branding, music, whatever it is to associate yourself with this new identity and create a strong synergy there. This takes us to step 3, which is crafting a high value product. So identify first a real need behind your niche and behind something people actually want. You have to build it, right? A digital course a lot of times. The course gurus, right? They've just done the best job at doing this because they can attract a lot of people. If you think about it, the Digital Syndicate really is just a course. It's a service, it's a software tool, or anything. Align this product with your identity. So, right, your personal identity, and then the branding you've built to broadcast that out into the world. Now there's a product that matches the color schemes of your branding. The music you're using to advertise it matches the music of your personal brand. It matches the way you dress, the appearance of your colors, everything like that. And it aligns with your audience's needs. There's now a clean chemistry between who you are and what you value. In this case, mine is freedom and sovereignty over your personal self. I've translated that into a brand of helping you guys become financially sovereign and free by using AI. And I've created a product now, which is the Digital Syndicate, to teach you guys how to use AI and use business practices and content to get there. So it's all aligned up to this point. I'm literally living the reality I'm telling you. And again, I'm 2 steps ahead. I'm not 50, right? I'm still building this. So you guys learn to write essays at school. Now you need to learn to sell a solution. This is where you monetize your experience. Without school tools like products in mind, right? Most people stay consumers. You're not taught how to build a product. You're taught how to use someone else's product to make them money. You'll become a producer in this case. We have to set up the course structure. I'll teach you what websites to use. I'll teach you how to set up a Stripe account, how to collect payments, how to market yourself. And that brings us into phase 4. How do we leverage and scale the business and the product that we made that best fits our identity and our brand in phases 1 and 2? Phase 4 is using smart tech. And this is where I differentiate myself and the syndicate, especially AI. We understand AI and everyone inside the community gets it better than anyone else. And we use it to multiply our impact. You don't scale by hitting an army of overworked people. You scale by using tools and systems. Now, traditionally, businesses had to rely on human labor to scale their profits. So as they scale and they get greedier and they take higher profit margins, they separate the 1% even more from the common person. And that difference in profit really strains the average person. You can actually scale a business ethically now by using AI to do the work and not someone else's labor. And you can actually give people fair wages. You can build an ethical business and escape the common system. I teach you guys how to do that. For example, you can automate tasks with AI to free you to create more content, guys, to close more deals. For example, we have an actual system that the agency side of my operation builds for some of you syndicate members that want to scale fast. We'll install for a monthly fee the equivalent of a virtual assistant who will talk to people in your DMs on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, email, text, whatever it is, and they'll figure out their needs. They'll go back and forth with them, and then if they're ideal, we'll send them a booking link and get them on a call. Then half your time spent trying to outreach to people is freed up, and the only people you're talking to are people that want to spend money. You're only closing deals, and therefore, if half the time is spent setting up appointments and half the time is spent closing, and now 100% of the time is spent closing, you're going to make at least twice as much money just mathematically, right? So we scale your business by using AI to help with labor. And this is way cheaper than a virtual assistant. So for example, right, I already told you that, but when Amazon CEO says we'll, quote, need fewer people doing some of the jobs, like I said earlier, he's right. But instead of being replaced, you'll be empowered by these tools. So you're not just being replaced by them, you're building your own system that also functions with them. And instead of everyone losing their job to AI, we're building a system of entrepreneurs, because at some point you'll have to be. Whether or not you think you don't have the skills for it, you don't have something valuable to put into the world, that's why we're building identity in phase 1. We figure out what you're good at. Maybe it's golf, right? Or maybe it's piano lessons. It doesn't have to be like building a massive marketing agency. It can just be teaching someone how to fish, like a simple skill that you already have, and turning that into a product, because anybody has some sort of knowledge about a task, and that can be marketed. So, but we're not just doing it for someone else. We're using the same AI tools that are kicking you out of your job to make more money than your job would have ever paid you. These 4 phases, guys, when done in order and synced, are a tutorial for true independence. And I figured out the formula: clarity, branding, product, and leverage. Each step compounds the last, and you have to do them in order, which is why we have checks and balances and homework as you work your way through the 4 phases. And none of this is taught in school. We teach it in the Digital Syndicate instead. Just like public school tuition, guys, right? It can be a few $100 in some cases. You guys are paying like double digits, right? Not even triple digits to get a full education on how this works. which is an insane deal. Think about a college education, 80 grand, and you're paying micro portions of just 1% just for the same education. The clock is ticking though, and I'm going to be honest about this. This isn't even an urgency thing. I'm just being realistic. Every single day, AI progresses, and the gap between you and financial freedom grows because there are people in the community. There's 300 people in the syndicate right now using this stuff, and you aren't. And they might want to teach the same piano lesson skills or Fortnite gaming skills, right, that you want to teach. But they have the knowledge and you don't. So I hate to say it's not competitive because in reality it is. Consider the trends. 40% of current skills will be obsolete by 2030, which comes from weforum.org. Industries are reshaping overnight. The next 10 years will transform more than the last 50. The next 10 years will transform more things in our reality than the last 50 years. And the last 50 was the internet. The entire internet up to now and modern vehicles, right, will all be transformed within the next 10 years, completely different. If you delay, you risk your education becoming worthless. Everything you've learned at your job up to now, you'll be replaced. I can almost guarantee there's going to be a challenge to your current position. And so this isn't just something you should do. It's not optional. You will be at danger, at risk if you aren't taking action now. And I don't mean to scare you. I don't. But I also don't want to see you cry, to be in despair, to hate your existence for losing that job that you thought was going to be your retirement plan because you weren't thinking critically. And you need to be the person that does that when no one else is. And I want to help you guys. I'm here to help you. I have to keep it limited because I don't want everyone competing me out of a workspace. So I have to charge money for this because it's very, very, very valuable education. And not everyone should deserve access to it. It shouldn't just be a luxury you should just, hop into. No. If you actually give a shit about this system and you take it seriously, this will be your ticket. Already, companies are slashing staff using AI. The World Economic Forum warns about an urgent reskilling need. Even now, half of workers will require new skills by the end of this year, 2025. Half of workers will require new skills by the end of this year. And we're in June still. Meanwhile, inflation and cost of living keep rising, and governments aren't teaching you how to beat it. The same people who benefit from the status quo don't want you to know these secrets because they're using them. They're just not telling you. And you ever felt like you're out of the loop? It's because you are. It's because people are leveraging the technologies in the digital syndicate and other communities, and they're telling you it's all okay. Don't worry about it. But then one day, somebody's going to walk into your place with an AI software or maybe a physical AI bot that literally walks to your desk and they say, you know what? You're no longer needed. Sorry, figure it out. Here's 2 weeks. You have until then to figure out what you're doing. And you're going to become another statistic in the debt trap. So I'm sorry, guys, but sometimes, how when somebody gives a shit about you, they got to be real with you. Your best friend, right, isn't going to lie to you. They're going to tell you how things actually are. And I hope that me saying all of this isn't going to just trigger you to hate me. You might want to resent me. You might want to take it out on me, but don't blame me for this. Blame the thing I'm talking about that's actually the threat out there. Why don't we team up against it? And that's exactly the program I've developed for you guys. You've been woke to the truth. Schools didn't teach you how to win. They simply didn't. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to accept that that's the reality either, but I've had to. And it's made me way more money doing it and being real about the facts than it has living in fake world and wondering why no business idea ever works because they are rigged against you. And the system won't just hand you success either, but there is a community that will. The Digital Syndicate is it's the only place where these truths, these hidden truths, where I can actually fully speak about them because it's infrastructure that I own. And monetizable skills are fully exposed. They're taught and weaponized for your independence. You can go in right now and you can look at the content clipping. That's the first level, right? You have to learn how to make content. And I pay you guys to make content of this podcast. You can practice using my face if you don't want to put your face out there. And I pay you for views. If it gets 1 view, which it will, right? You post anything online, it'll get a view. You're going to make money off that. I will pay you out to your bank account. That's literally, I'm proving to you guys that there's value here. It's in my bio. And in our community, we break down exactly how to execute the 4 phases I talked about. That's only in the syndicate, though. It's not in the free community. So start in the syndicate. I promise you it's a good decision. We'll give you the mentorship, the tools, and the tutorials to go from student to actual leader, where for once, unlike what school ever taught you, you learn how to build a system of your own, and not just how to play a role in someone else's, how to fit into the box of a certain career that you never really wanted to do fully, that you wanted more control over, that you've always felt out of place in. So act now, because the world is accelerating. And as Amazon, as their CEO says, those who don't adapt will get left behind, as so many other people have said too, honestly. You can't go back to school for this knowledge. You simply can't, because it doesn't exist yet, and probably they don't want you to know it. But I do. You have to get it here. You have to. Either my community, maybe there's someone else offering something similar, but I doubt it because I've just built all of this in the last few months because it's the most accurate information you can find. Join the Digital Syndicate to escape from the trap. This is the education that they never told you about. And it's what will drive your success deeper than what you ever imagined. The hidden curriculum, guys. As much as I will live stream, this ends here. I can't get deeper, but there I can. And you will learn everything. And the second you join, maybe within an hour of exploring the actual content, you're going to start to say, damn, why didn't I learn this sooner? Why didn't I have this information? In fact, what I tell you inside of there is going to piss you off a little, because you're going to realize how much of what we live is actually bullshit. And it's going to inspire you just to push through even faster, make more money, to sell skills, and to become undeniably rich. And that, instead of the Lamborghini, instead of the nice girls on the yacht, that power of knowing that you control what happens next in your reality is the best price that you can pay for freedom. That little bit of work to lead up to it, that changes your reality. And that is what anybody, I think, I would feel confident saying in the community, would die wanting to know the truth and having the ability to change it. And this is where you start. The real education, guys, it begins with you. It always has. It was never taught to you. It was your ability to see clearly, to learn clearly, to think clearly. And I know that the ones that are right hearing this message, those of you that actually heard the words I'm saying, will take action. And I will see you guys inside. Thanks for watching. You guys know what to do next, where the link is. Find it, click on it, join the Digital Syndicate, and I'll see you on the other side.